I am an avid reader and writer since I was 15. And while I was always switching genres depending on my moods, there was always something I fell for. Ew. Okay, so the thing was, I was wandering around Amsterdam and I passed by this bench. If you don't know what it is, then it's maybe because you haven't seen this scene.
Apparently the world is not a wish-granting factory.
I think we live so obsessed with love stories that I couldn't help but wonder why we write about love. I had the idea of this video because yesterday I was talking with my friend and we were talking about this relationship that she's trying to start. Basically, it's not a relationship yet. You know, the type of relationship where the other guy doesn't write you back? You know? Kind of like ghosting? Bastards. So, anyways, she was telling me about this idea that she's having on quitting on the idea of love and the idea that she's going to find love. Basically because it's just too awful. And the thing of starting over and over again seems like very demotivating. So I kind of started wondering where this idea is coming from and like why we have these high expectations when it comes to love. It seems like she was reading a love book, and as you know, I love romance as a genre. So I was reading also a romance book.
Oh my god, I'm so surprised!
The one she was reading was It Happened One Summer because I gave it to her. I was reading Places I've Cried in Public. Both of these books talks about love, but the thing is both of them talks about this topic in a very different ways. It also seems to be that sometimes the type of books that we read makes in our minds to have that same expectation when it comes to love. It Happened One Summer is the story of this rich girl who out of the sudden has to move to the countryside, and then she falls in love almost immediately with someone. Embraces the idea of the right place at the right time when you're meeting the one. It puts some perspective sometimes, and that's what happens with romantic comedies in general, that you think that love is something that happens simultaneously when you see someone and then you fall for that person.
Mi florecilla del desierto.
On the other hand, the book that I was reading, it's by Holly Bourne, and it is called The Places I Have Cried in Public. As you can see from the title, it's not very optimistic. It's about this girl who goes to school and then she meets this guy. He's so handsome, he's perfect, he's everything that she wanted him to be. Because she was feeling very lonely and that she starts depending on this guy. You get it already that this is not going to be very healthy. The guy starts treating her really bad. She starts not doing things, like he starts feeling jealous, he starts mistreating her. All these things turns into this horrible relationship. So of course she's talking about in this book in all these places that she have cried for this guy. We know that sometimes love can be related to sad things, but the idea that the sad moment has to be part of the love stories necessarily in real life, I mean, it's an idea that is basically wrong and that makes us choose the wrong love as well. In the places I have cried in public, I don't know how many times I wanted to scream at the book and just say, come on, just get away from there. And so she can go to someone better, but anyway, she ends up like always coming back to this relationship. And on the other hand, It Happened One Summer is this type of simultaneous love in which everything goes just well. I have met people in the past that actually they fall in love almost simultaneously with someone and then they've been dating for forever. Like at the first day in high school, they met each other and since then they've been together and now they're married and that's okay. Bastards. Nah, I'm joking. Danny, I'm so happy for you. But sometimes the stories don't always happen that way, you know, and I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that it's not always going to be that instantly. I have dated some people that just, to sum it up, let's just say they're not going to be characters in a Jane Austen novel.
Is he amiable?
Is he handsome? He's single.
Happily so.
On the contrary, they were more like Stephen King type of characters.
Great. Hey, can you hand me my cell phone?
Ooh, it was destroyed in the accident.
Well, can I use yours?
No reception up here.
Regular phone?
Lines are down.
Payphone?
Roads closed.
Email?
Dial-up.
Fax?
Paper jam.
Morse code?
Obsolete.
I think there are some stories that kind of form the wrong idea of romance in our minds, and because I love to read about love and romance in general, I come up with these three types of romance that we always see in these novels. It's the type of romance that it just seems to happen in the 90s Disney movies. This type of story just makes you think that you're going to just step out of your house and they're going to be there. Like the love of your life is just going to be there waiting for you, doing something very obvious for you to acknowledge that it's there. And some stories like this are 50 Shades of Grey. In 1 second, you can tell he is going to be her love. A very sick type of love, but her love. Other ones are Twilight, where they see each other at the first time, and even though they're fighting their feelings, still you know that they're clicking. With that, I mean, for example, the ones that started as a friend's relationship, where you don't know that you're going to fall for that person, but eventually with the years, you start seeing at the other person as someone that can potentially be a love interest. Some stories like this are Love Another Word, or Every Summer After, or even The Summer I Turned Pretty, because are those type of stories in which they met when they were kids and it keeps on changing all the time. These type of stories for me are the most realistic ones. Not because like your love interest has to be the one that you met when you were 6 years old, but because I think that relationships are something that you have to work on, and those ones are the most realistic ones. Like it might happen to you that your best friend started as your enemy, and now it's like someone that you cannot live without. Those relationships that are just ups and downs in a short time period. Like in 2 days, they broke up like 5 times. Hello, roller coaster. Those ones, I think that there are the ones that we have mostly while we are on our teenage years. Just because we are super intense and we want everything to be quick. We want to meet someone and that person is what we're going to be calling the love of our lives. Like so in a hurry for growing up and like moving to the next step that we put a lot of intensity into it. But to replicate that type of relationships in all of our lives is the recipe for disaster. An example of this is Ugly Love by Colin Hoover, because it's a very hectic relationship, super intense, full of trauma, and she's in this roller coaster just on the front row and trying to survive it. That's why roller coasters only last for 3 minutes. You cannot stand any longer than that. It's going to make you sick. Today, someone that has the emotional stability of the Wi-Fi in my last apartment that falls every 5 minutes. It's just exhausting. These people that breaks up with you like 5 times in 1 week, and you're all the time like, sounds great. Let's try it one more time. I think that this is the definitive one. Definitely. Spoiler alert. No. Coming back to the situation and what originates this conversation. Do I think that we have to give up on the idea of love? No. Love, it's magic, you know, and for magic you need the magician, you need the rabbit, you need the hat, you need the elements, the stage, you need a lot of things. Like it doesn't happen that simultaneously, so let's just stop lying to us and pretending that it's going to happen all in one day. And I think that in this crazy world that we're in right now, in which there's so much troubles and fights and violence, to think that there's love outside, it gives us hope, and we need that. And now you might be struggling to find the one. There's a moment when you meet someone and that thing that you wanted to happen just happened, maybe in another way. And there's going to be a time when maybe you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to him to university and support in his exam. And you're going to think like, I never liked to wake up at 6 a.m. But there you are, smiling. Or it's 10 p.m. and you're still WhatsApping each other or sending DMs, and it's just worth it. And that's why I think it's so important to write love stories and to read love stories. There's going to be a moment when we're going to be doubtful if it's going to happen, and there will be like a quick reminder that it's out there. And believe me, you might be struggling now, but I know you will find it. And that's a wrap for today's video. Just remember that if you like these videos, you can subscribe, just clicking on the subscribe button down here. And you can just turn on the notifications button so you find out every time that I upload a new video. If you want me to talk about another topic related to books or to any other thing, just put it in the comments and I'll be so happy to be talking about that on my next video. This is it for today. I will see you next week. Thank you for watching. Mwah.